between Tales of Turning and Guido, who are an amazing organization based in Somalia. And it's supported by Rotary International as part of the Peace Fellowship that I'm currently on. The aim of this initiative was to pilot the development of a sustainable model for peace building that can be upscaled in Somalia and replicated in different contexts, such as Syria. The function of this was to prevent mis and disinformation, hate speech, and polarization through this collaboration. So the results that we're sharing today are the results of the pilot, and then we're looking to upscale and roll it out fully in Somalia, and then replicate it in Syria in partnership with Mediators Beyond Borders International and with local peace builders in Syria. So to start off with, I would like to say a huge thank you to Mahmoud and Hassan from Guido. They were instrumental in this project, as well as Stefan Snell, who we'll hear from next from Tales of Turning, and Siabata, Suk, and Linda from Tales of Turning. Without them, this work wouldn't have been possible. So over to you, Steph. Steph will start by giving the framework and providing an overview of what we do.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny Lee, and a good day and welcome. And thank you for your interest in this. So my name is Stefan Snell. I'm a mediator and problem solver, and I've been working with organized and disorganized violence since the 80s. The team, this highly experienced team at Tales of Turning, and highly diverse and experienced team of Tales of Turning over the past 5 years, been doing deep listening in using public social media listening tools to research, innovate, and experiment in a variety of narratives associated with social justice issues. So for us, it stretches from online bullying, xenophobic networks, gender-based violence, elections, child online safety, fatherhood, and polarized narratives, which includes peace building. So as Jenny Lee said, the webinar is a collaboration between ourselves and Credo in Somalia, and features the process of virtually building and organizing voluntary allies online through structured dialogue to significantly reduce disinformation, hate speech, while simultaneously promoting and deepening online conversations. It amplifies on-site content while enhancing positive sentiment. This capability is persistent, sustainable, and scalable, as pointed out. If applied, it will positively shift narratives in the field it's applied. You will hear a lot more detail about it and what happened in this particular experiment. But this is how social media can be used for healing. Thanks very much, and over to you, Jenny Lee.
Thanks so much, Steph. So Steph's always very humble. So Stefan Snell and Jeffrey Mamputa are the other two directors of Tales of Turning, and they are highly experienced conflict mediators who were part of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, as well as working with the Peace Accord and our transition to justice. So, they do conflict mediation and gang wars, taxi wars. So they've really played a huge role in this project, their knowledge, and as really, really instrumental in this work that we're doing. So to start off with, we look at social media listening research, which pulls in all the data from public social media. So we're working really with big data. This is very exciting in conflict analysis in general, and also understanding the and disinformation, polarization, and hate speech that is playing out in different contexts, because you're really working with big data. We work in the local language context, but it also gives us insight into the colloquial language that people are using. So what are the terms that they're using to describe things? How are they grappling with things? How are they navigating different issues? What are the tensions in that community that need to be addressed? So it's really, really fascinating. It can give you an overview of the conflict, but also looks really, really deeper at the root causes and these underneath layers, which is fascinating for many, many reasons. So now I'm just going to go a bit more into how this process works and then the outputs and how that is helpful for us. So how we do this is we look at subject matter expertise, we look at literature, we look at our understanding of conflict mediation, and we have local partners that really deeply understand the context. And then we also have a team of dialogue facilitators at Tales of Turning who are online all the time, engaging on social media, and who have a deep, deep understanding of the social media landscape. So from this, we collect keywords, and keywords are words, phrases, or hashtags that can be used for searches on social media to bring up relevant content. So how you would use this yourself is take that keyword and put it into X or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, and it pulls up all the posts that are linked to that keyword. So we start by building a keyword list of hundreds and hundreds of keywords. It's very important. So this is a sample from the keyword list. It's very important to use the local languages. It's very important to use slang terms. So we do use some more professional academic terms, but we also use slang terms to really get the everyday conversations of what people are talking about. And again, it's from public social media, so it's only publicly available data. And then from this, we build something called a query. And this is a small sample of the query. It's normally a lot longer. So instead of putting single keywords in, you're putting all the keywords together and pulling up these vast, vast amounts of data. And then what the tool allows you to do is to start looking at that data in different ways and start analyzing it. One really interesting way to do this is a thematic analysis. So you can see what different themes are emerging, what are the common themes. And the word cloud is a nice visual representation of this. So you can see on the screen the words that are bigger are the ones that there's more data behind. So that means there's more social media posts where that topic has been mentioned. In the tool, you can then actually click on that word and see all the posts that are linked to that theme. So it becomes very, very interesting to explore. We often find things that we would expect in the data, but often there's really unexpected things that people haven't been thinking about and are gaps. So we can see also the gaps in people's thinking. The topic wheel is another really amazing representation of the different themes that are emerging. So again, this was a pilot. So we did the social media listening research on a smaller scale. But these are some of the really interesting results and insights that we found. So there's a lot of discussion around the Berbera corridor, around the Egyptian troops coming into Somalia and the significance of the Nile River, and Somalia being a gateway to the Red Sea shipping route. So really discussions and discourse around geopolitics and international interests. Then there's a lot of discourse around internal politics, around and there was a lot of data showing that this discourse is increasingly polarized, with stark divisions between those supporting the federal government and those advocating for clan-based autonomy. So the political discourse in Somalia is heavily influenced by clan dynamics, with an emphasis on clan loyalty, which complicates the political landscape as leaders navigate between national unity and clan allegiance, with a lot of calls for inclusivity, so how everyone can be included. So the key tensions were between clans, managing clan relationships, and also addressing grievances that are raised. There's also a lot of conversation about tensions between ethnic groups and the treatment of Ethiopian migrants, particularly Oromos, and a lot of incidences of tension and violence, which has received a lot of this tension and violence against Ethiopian minorities has received a lot of backlash from local Somalian residents. And so there was a lot of rising tensions and actions against certain ethnic groups. So we get all this really, really interesting data. One thing we do with this data is it's really useful for people who are philanthropists and fundraising to use this data. It's big data, it's correlated into themes. It's useful to help them make evidence-based decisions in philanthropy. We also then share it widely with grassroots communities. It's really useful for communities to use this information in their dialogues and in the conversation and workshops they're having on the ground. Another thing that we do is we use it for our own interventions, which I'm going to go into now a bit more. So obviously we get these key insights, we get these themes, which are really useful. Another function of the tool is it can show you how the conversation changes over time. So it's really good for monitoring and evaluation for a baseline study to see how the narrative is now and how it shifts. Then what is also useful is, so we normally look at the data over 2 years to see what are the key issues, the root causes, do this really in-depth report. But we can also go on the tool at any moment and see what is happening right now on in the conversations. What are the tensions today? Because we know in the world we're living in, things shift so quickly, and how much influence the online space spills off into the offline environment. One of the things is you can see when there are spikes in the conversation. So you can set alerts when there is a spike in mis and disinformation and hate speech. So this forms part of an early warning system. And you can also see a geographical breakdown. So you can see, is there a hotspot of mis and disinformation and hate speech in a certain area? When we get an alert for a spike, we can then mobilize the volunteer digital dialogue facilitators that we've trained to go and engage and intervene and curtail the mis-disinformation and hate speech using the methodology that I'm going to go into now that we've trained them in. So the social media listening research plays a research role, but the tool lets us see right now what's happening and helps us to build an early warning system. So as I shared earlier, Jeff and Steph are very experienced conflict mediators with decades of experience, and they've worked in all different contexts around the world and in all different types of conflicts and peacebuilding initiatives. So what we've done is we've taken conflict mediation theory, my background in psychology and narrative therapy, and we've combined that and adapted it to dialogue facilitation methodology in digital spaces. So how can we dialogue in a constructive way in digital spaces? One part of this is people sometimes express harmful beliefs online, and we look at engaging with them to shift their position. Firstly, by asking curious questions to make them feel understood and heard. So we really try to draw them out and get them to share their perspective. How have they come to form these beliefs? If they hate another clan or hate another ethnic group. In South Africa, we have a big problem with xenophobia. So if they're holding these beliefs, to ask them questions to find out why. So it's really to make them feel understood. Then the second part is to ask them curious questions to get them to reflect on these harmful beliefs. So this is the methodology we develop where people actually go onto, we all have situations on WhatsApp or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or X where someone's shared something terrible. How do we engage in a way that doesn't cause more polarization, but that actually develops understanding and gets people to reflect on the harmful beliefs that they're holding? So that's one part of the dialogue facilitation methodology. The other part of the dialogue facilitation methodology is there are coordinated networks of mis and disinformation that are shared. So in the past, we've discovered a coordinated network of xenophobic accounts in South Africa, where it's inauthentic accounts, and we could actually map using software who was seeding the mis and disinformation. So they paid inauthentic accounts that are operating off a playbook to seed the mis and disinformation. And then there's other paid accounts that are paid to then reshare this mis and disinformation. And there's all signs of these these inauthentic accounts that we developed as we were doing this project. So we know that there's these coordinated networks that are disseminating disinformation for really unintegrous reasons, for political gain, or using this age-old tactic of divide and conquer. So for this particular instance, we developed a methodology called truth queries, where we go onto that post and ask, where did you get this information from? What are you for real? What makes you believe this? So really just a question to get people to think twice before they believe that. What's really interesting for me is there's actually neuroscience behind it. So mis and disinformation is designed to make people angry and afraid, which shuts down the critical thinking part of our brain. When you ask a question, it reactivates that critical thinking part of the brain. So you get that moment just to pause, rather than being very, very reactive online and just sharing it. So we've done 3 studies with the University of Washington that proves that this methodology works to curtail mis and disinformation. So before I go into the studies with the University of Washington, here is an example of mis and disinformation in Somalia. So it's an actual post. We are training people to actually go online and respond by saying, what proof do you have of this? Are you for real? Where did you get this information from? How is this information of benefit to the people of Somalia? So you're getting people to think, like, what are the consequences of resharing this information? The first study that we did with the University of Washington showed that asking these questions, the truth queries, significantly calms and regularizes the conversation. So it prevents people, it decreases the likelihood that people are going to reshare the mis and disinformation, believe it, and trust the accuracy. I really love this graph because it's a visual representation of how it calms the conversation, because the blue is where the truth query is applied, and the gray is where it's not, is a control group where it's not applied. So you can see how it just calms the whole conversation down. In the second study, they were looking at identity and how if someone that doesn't share the same identity as the person, so they're part of an out group. So this is very significant for polarized context. So if you part of the out group and you post a question on the mis and disinformation, will it still have the same effect? And they found that it really does still curtail and reduce the mis and disinformation, because how we really designed this methodology was to bypass people's defense, to bypass that tendency of people to be defensive. No one likes to be told, you're wrong, this is the correct fact. you know. So this methodology really bypasses that defensiveness. And so it doesn't matter if someone's part of the out group and asking these questions, it activates that critical thinking. So I thought this second study was very relevant, because part of what we're trying to do is reduce polarization. And for that, you've got to have engagement between people that are othering each other. The third study, it was very exciting because we did this during the South African elections to prevent mis and disinformation and hate speech during the South African elections. And the last South African elections, there was a huge risk of violence. And this study showed that posts that were where the truth queries were applied saw a 77% reduction in likes and an 82% reductions in reposts. So everyone that's attending this webinar, we will send you all the copies of these studies, so you can go. Obviously, they big studies, so there's a lot more results. I just, for the simplicity of the webinar, I just picked out key results. But anyone that's interested, we will share them with you so you can go deeper into them. So for this project, we trained people in Somalia in collaboration with Mohammed and Hassan. We trained organizations in Somalia, as well as youth leaders from across Africa, to use this methodology. So we trained them in online and offline peace building so that they can address hate speech, mis and disinformation. So what was really exciting for me, so I thought I would share it in this webinar, was adapting the training from a South African context. Why I loved it so much is it's a way, for me, it's like peace building in action. It's a way of deep listening. You've got to really listen and pay very close attention to the context you're working in, especially when you're working virtually, because you're not actually in that context. So you've really got to pay attention to make sure that the training is comfortable for people. So the way that we did that was obviously working very closely with Hassan and Mohammed, and we incorporated images from the local context. We added words and phrases in Somalia. We were very sensitive to local culture and religion. As I said, we worked with a Somali co-facilitator, so Hassan was part of facilitating with us. We went through all the training and slide by slide to make sure that they felt comfortable for the Somalian context. We emphasize aspects of the training that play a role in the local context. So storytelling was always a part of the training, but because storytelling plays such a crucial role in Somalia, we really brought out that part of the training. The training is very much based on process work. So we really believe that people are the experts of their own lives. They know their problem, the problems of the community best. They know the solutions best. And everyone has the capacity for conflict mediation within them already. We all do it in different ways in our day-to-day life, whether it's with a neighbor or a family member or a friend or a community or at work. So in that process work, it really gives an opportunity for people to share their knowledge and experience, which is really useful when you are adapting training to the local context. And then we also added case studies and examples from the local context to really make it relevant. It's not only training that we did. So we did the training. We also have a mentorship plan. So we set up a WhatsApp network with everyone that's been trained. We share resources there. We share prompts to dialogue, and we share keywords. We share extra information. People can ask questions. So it's really a continued mentorship. It's also really important to put it into practice. So we have live dialogue sessions where everyone comes together online and we're all on social media dialoguing, so we can ask each other questions, share what we're finding that's interesting, and it really supports that space for practical application. We also created a digital dialogue deck. So that one sample post that I showed you, we put a whole bunch of posts from social media and then how you could respond. So it's a way of inspiring people and showing them how the methodology can be applied. And so this network and mentorship is very important. Another part that I really, really love about this is we know that young leaders and community-based organizations and local organizations are on the forefront of peace building and all these different issues that they're facing. So you can imagine when we're doing this training, the knowledge in the room is just really, really extraordinary. And they're all doing really important work on the ground, which is really important that it's happening. Part of the training is that we teach them to use social media to amplify their knowledge and to increase their impact. So how do they make social media content that shares their knowledge, that sparks dialogue, and extends the work that they're doing on the ground into the social media space, because we know how much the social media space influences the work on the ground. So that becomes something really interesting, is this sharing of knowledge and amplification of knowledge. So the aim of the training is knowledge sharing to enable participants to share insights on community challenges, their needs, peace building solutions, using social media to extend the reach and impact of their knowledge. We train participants in online and offline dialogue facilitation and peace building. So Steph and Jeff really bring that component of peace building. How do you map conflicts? How do you engage with stakeholders? So how do you use complex, sensitive communication? And the strategic use of social media for peace promotion. So how can we use social media to amplify messages of peace? And then it's very, very much about resource sharing, establishing a network for continuous engagement, including a WhatsApp group for sharing resources, best practices, and peace building strategies. So it's that ongoing support. For the sake of this webinar, I'm not going to go into all the details of the training, but everyone will receive the training report that gives all the learning outcomes. And also, I'll just go to this slide quickly. We also have a very rigorous monitoring and evaluation. So we have pre-training surveys, post-training surveys. We have indicators that are incorporated into the training. So the training report that you will receive will also include the outcomes, the monitoring and evaluation. So you can really go deeper into what it entails. It also includes little snippets of the training. So you can see a bit more about the process work and what we include. So I love this is content created by the participants themselves using the methodology and what they learned in the training. So you can see that the content is unbranded. It uses colloquial language. It uses local insights, really to extend that knowledge. We found that when it's unbranded and it's really relatable to people, it gets more engagement online, it sparks more conversations, and it's much more impactful. There are these designs also in the training report, so you can take a closer look. But these were all participant generated and really contain a lot of insights, and a lot of it is use driven, which I also really love. As I mentioned, a really important part of this is the networking. So we create these networks of digital change makers who are doing this work. It's volunteer networks of dialogue facilitators that we can mobilize when there are issues to use this methodology in their everyday life. So really we're trying to create critical thinking and as many people that can engage this way online in a different way. We do have a broader digital peace building group that it would be lovely if you want to join it. We have dialogues there every Monday, and we share resources. So Siabata will put the link in the group, and then you can join us there. So in the training report, you can also see the feedback, but I want to hand over now to Suk and Gabrielle, who both attended the training, for them to share some of their experiences of the training. So over to you, Suk.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sukra Tukarib, and I'm an intern South of Tony, and I had the opportunity to participate in the digital Peacebuilding training in Somalia, organized by Toss of Tony. And I can say the experience was truly eye-opening because I gained practical tools for dialogue, conflict resolution, and community engagement. I also learned the real importance of creating a safe space where young people from different backgrounds can come and share their ideas. Because during the training, we had some breakout room where we came and then share our experience and what we think about each other's experience. And it was really very interactive and interesting. So what impacted me the most was that Peacebuilding became when listening one another, and I'm very grateful to Toss of Tony and everyone who make this training very possible. So the key takeaway I can say from the meeting is that um storytelling is very powerful tool for Peace, and when we share our story, we find a common background and understanding, and when our voice unites, I'm sure our action too will align and to stop being an idea and it will become a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Suk. It's always wonderful to hear from you. Gabriel, are you here to share or?
Yes, please. I'm around.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
so hello everyone. My name is Gabriel Dominiena, and I also got the opportunity to take part in the training. For me, the training provided key elements around dialogue, where I had the opportunity to really engage with other people within breakout rooms and even in the larger room. It also provided a space for me more to conduct reflections, right? So in my own space, what I post on social media, it kind of pushed me to a point where I'm now beginning to reflect the impact of the post I create and how that kind of translates to peace building in general. I also got the opportunity to realize that we are more united in the terms of our shared goals, because there were points where we had to kind of share symbols of peace. And it was really interesting to see that within the breakout room, a couple of us shared items around Dove, the olive branch, and how that is really uniting us as, let me say, people that are preaching for peace. But more importantly, I've now been enlightened more to be mindful of misinformation, because social media is kind of a space where almost everyone has the opportunity to put something out there. But getting the platform where I'm kind of asking key questions around the authenticity of certain things that are being posted is something great that I took from the workshop. So just to run it off, the workshop actually provided or emphasized on peace building when it comes to applying empathy, when it comes to compassion, and when it comes to open dialogue, where we should speak out, we should kind of approach things with compassion, and together we are all playing a role that collectively leads to a larger peace building effort. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. And Suk, it's wonderful to hear you share. And these are some of the talented young leaders that we have the honor of working with. I always think I must be doing something right in life if I get to work with these incredible people. So thank you so much. So next I would like to hand over to Mahamud, who is another Rotary Peace Fellow and who I mentioned throughout the presentation of playing a crucial role in this work. And we really connected around Mohammed is so has such an incredible integrity and work ethic, and an incredible organization he's working with. So it would be really lovely to hear from him, because as I mentioned, this is a pilot, and we're hoping to leverage this pilot to fund a full-scale initiative in Somalia, and further the partnership between Guido and Tales of Turning. So over to you, Mahmoud.
Thank you so much, Jenny, and thank you, Jenny, again for the great work that you have done. I'm delighted to share with all of you colleagues our collaboration as a Gredo and my organization that we have recently embarked on in partnership with Tales of Turning. Together, we are exploring how social media and digital storytelling can become a powerful tools for peace building in Somalia and also many other countries like Syria and other countries. In today's world, and online separatists separate is no longer and from everyone's life, because for young people and communities in displacement or conflict affected areas, social media has become the place where opinions are shaped and also grievances are expressed, and ideas and about the futures are shared. Unfortunately, it's also where harmful narratives and also divisions and can be spread very quickly. And recognizing this dual reality, and Gredo and Tales of Turning are working hand in hand to flip and the challenge into opportunity, and also to use these digital tools as instruments for dialogue, understanding, and ultimately peace. And we see social media not as like a threat, but as a bridge, and one that can connect diverse groups with like maybe who may have never met face to face, but also can share ideas, values, and aspirations in online. Like shaping these narratives, we are like challenging the dominance of fear and also division, and replacing with them hope, solidarity, and collective problem solving. This is the only beginning. What we have started is really promising, but to move from a small pilot efforts into a fully developed and impactful peace building program, we are doing advocacy and also sharing our ideas with the wider partners and donors, including Rotary International. And I can stress that my organization, Geredo and Tales of Turning, are committed to building this digital peace building journey together. And we have the expertise, and we have the networks, and most importantly, we have the community's trust and willingness to engage. What we need now is just a partnership and investment to have a fully developed program on this issue. Finally, and this collaboration is not just like a project; it's a vision for more than like inclusive and peaceful Somalia and many other countries around the world. Together with your solidarity, we can ensure that digital platforms or social media become pathways to unity rather than division. And finally, thank you. I want to thank also all the colleagues, Steve, Hassan, Janali, and everyone, and Sapeta, and everyone who has contributed this pilot project. And finally, also, I want to thank Rotary International for giving us this opportunity. Without them, I couldn't meet and Janali, and also many other colleagues who are online now. And thank you so much. Over to you, Janali. Bye.
So much, Mahmoud. And now everyone can see for themselves why we're so excited about this partnership. So I think the final thing is to say thank you so much for everyone. I know life is so busy. Thank you for showing up, for being part of this and being interested. We really, really appreciate it. Appreciate everyone that showed up. As Mahmoud said, a special thank you to our Peace Fellow colleagues. It means a lot that you showed up and supported us, and also to the Rotarians that have showed up, because this work is particularly supported by Rotary. So Thank you. We will be sending you all a recording and the training report so you can explore a bit more. If you have any questions, please reach out via email. You'll have my email address when I send this all out. So reach out via email. We'll love to hear your questions, your thoughts, your reflections. Those are always so valuable. We are all about collaboration. So any support that you can offer of connections, networking, any opportunities, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of your evenings or days, wherever you're joining from in the world.